Welcome to Riverbend Talent on WBGZ. Brought to you by the Halpin Music Company.
Another Riverbend Talent on the Big Z, brought to you by the Halpin Music Company and by Mr. Matt Van Force of Macias Insurance. Sea Shanty Sing-Along underway down at Morrison's Irish Pub until 9 o'clock. Midwest Avenue underway at Fast Eddie's until 10. Nick Sturgis underway at George's Pub and Grill in Jerseyville until 9 o'clock. We've got Christmas at the Mill tonight. It's underway at 5, and then live music starts with Craig Knight and Friends at 6:30 until 8:30 down in Granite, that new venue. And, of course, Experience Live Music Row taking place down there in Belleville. And there you are. You're on this one. No, you're one. No, you're news. You're news.
Hey, there it is.
I can't do it because you're news.
I'm news. If it said fake news, you'd do it right every time. You'd be like, oh, that's got to be him, fake news.
If I would prep, I probably would do it right every time.
Wait a minute. I saw you prepping earlier outside.
That wasn't me. Trust me.
That wasn't me.
That'd be illegal, and I'm not allowed to do that. So.
Oh. You know what's not illegal?
The Psychedelic Symphony.
You've read my level when you read my mind. The Psychedelic Symphony, and they are at the Conservatory.
Friday night.
Tomorrow night.
That's right.
So that's
we do have a guest
time.
tonight, hopefully, here in just a little bit. We'll just keep the suspense going, though.
Oh, it's going to be so good. Just think sexy.
Oh, yeah.
Think sexy.
So the video will show no one but you at this point.
No.
Well, you said sexy.
I wasn't talking about me. I was talking about the Psychedelic Symphony. That's pretty sick.
Friday night down at the Conservatory from 8 until 11. We also got Hollywood 5 on Friday night at Fast Eddie's from 7 to 11. The dueling pianos out at Baker's and Hale from 7 to 10 on Friday night. And Ethan Carl. Every Friday night out at Locke's Brick House, they're going to have music through January. And Ethan Carl from 7 to 10 this Friday night. Logan Chapman up at George's Pub and Grill in Jerseyville. You know, I had a note on Deutsch Village Inn that they're looking for acoustic acts. They had not posted who was playing as of this morning. But
all right.
The links are always there. So if you're wondering what's going on in your favorite venue, you can just click the link like Dennis did last week and his wife. Soulshine Good.
That's right.
Came in and did all that for us. They just told us how to do it.
Hey, you know what? And that was our first time having those guys in. That was fun getting to know the Soulshine Groove Band.
It was.
Looking forward to getting out and checking them out. You know who you can check out right now?
No.
Tomorrow night, that is.
The Sea Shanty Sing-Along you can check out right
now. I was thinking more of our buddy Steve Tenen.
Or Bill or Jerry.
Yeah, all those guys. Yeah. Hey, it is the Silver Bullet Band. That's the tribute to Bob Seger. That's going on at the Wildey Theater. Actually, is that one sold out?
Yeah, second night.
It's 2 nights. Second night is sold out. Still tickets available for Friday night on that. My old buddy Strennan there. Hey, look at that. We got somebody coming in the studio.
The Skylark Brothers?
No, but what's happening with the Skylark Brothers?
They're playing at Sneaky's Burgers in Edwardsville, right across the street from the Wildey.
Yeah, Mr. Jack Tweston there, man.
And the Strangers at the Chop House in Edwardsville on Friday. That catches up Friday.
There you go. That is our Thursday and Friday evening here. And now to the surprise guest. We have joining us my buddy Ryan from Jake's Leg. Man, how you doing? How you living?
Thanks for having me, guys. It's a nice phone call to get. Good to hear from you.
Always good to talk to you, man.
Last year I heard from you.
Haven't seen you since Earth Tones.
Right. What a great time that was. Again, thanks for having me. Things have been going great.
Yeah,
a good holiday.
We were just discussing a good old friend of mine who's playing up at the Wildey this weekend. That's where you're going to be playing.
Yeah. Couple weeks now. We're going to wrap up kind of our fiscal year. We play one into 25, and then we take most of the winter off, and we're coming back in March.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Wildey's cool venue.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man.
It's January 11th for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
January 11th. Yeah.
I'm surprised tickets are still available.
Yeah, there's still some seats available. We changed it up a little bit this year with the seating. We're doing the whole floor general admission.
Nice.
And so, I see the tickets, how they're selling. I still think people are thinking, that they're assigned. But the balcony is assigned, and the
Nice.
floor is all GA. And, it kind of, the people are obviously going to be moving around a little bit more. They're going to be a little hungrier to get there earlier.
Well, and when you're at that sort of festivity, Grateful Dead ish, shall we say? No, I mean it is a very Deadhead based thing we're talking about here. Who's not dancing?
That's it's unique with certain venues on how respectively they run their place. We love playing them all,
Yeah.
And how they set that up has been a very much a showcase type of presentation for the bands, and so we kind of fall a little bit out of that genre by having our local yokels spinning around out there. Yeah.
Well, like you say, for it is more set up like a showcase type thing.
Yeah,
However,
it's a great venue. Beautiful.
Let's stop and give a shout out to Matt Tall. I think he was in charge of putting that place back together the way it is years ago. Did a beautiful job on it, man.
It's a great. We used to drive by it when we were kids. I'm, originally from Staunton, and we go over to Edwardsville all the time. And we drive by there, and we're like, "Oh, it's the old movie theater." And we've got like one of those old buildings, old movie theaters in Staunton that is like a huge furniture store now. But you can tell it was a movie theater, and for the city to come in and take over that building and do what they've done has been what an asset for Edwardsville.
Oh yeah,
with their own theater.
And constantly bringing in great bands. Dennis just handed me a list of some bands that are coming there that we're going to get a hold of some of the guys that start promoting some more of the stuff going on up there.
I don't know if the bands on that list are going to be there real soon, but Lewis Michael, who is the music guy out at Lewis and Clark College, stopped in today and plays in like 2 or 3 of the tribute bands. They have a lot of tribute bands at the Wildey, and so I had to grab his number, and like I told him, how many times has somebody come through this show and said, yeah, I took music at Lewis and Clark with Lewis Michael.
Yeah.
So I'm like, for that reason alone, we need him on.
Yeah,
So.
they're like the Lewis, Jordan, Oaks. There's a few Harlan. There's a few that get named
Mundine.
There's a few guys that get named a lot here, and by other musicians for helping them out, getting on their path.
Yeah, our buddy Steve Tennant doing the Bob Seger tribute this weekend up there. So
Yeah, there you go. Speaking of old friends you bump into, I bumped into an old friend of yours a couple of days ago.
Were you hanging out with
Sean Eccles? Yeah, yeah. Oh man, those guys put on a great show as always. And so you're from Staunton. And how Eccles is from Springfield, Missouri. How does a Staunton, Illinois boy in a Springfield? Because I know I go back with Eccles too from the landing, from the days of the landings.
Let's see here. Right, oh, man, I'm gonna go old school. When
right.
internet was firing up, type of thing. There was stlouismusicians.com, and I posted an ad to that. I was looking for a band. I think my saying was to float around the stage or something like that, And these guys answered from Springfield, Illinois, called The Station, and they're like, "We already have a drummer. Do you want to play percussion?" And I'm like, "Sure." "Do you own percussion?" I said, "Yes." And it was a total lie. I had nothing. And so I bought some percussion from Bob Mojo over in Edwardsville and went up and auditioned for this band. And that ended up being a 5-year band for me and 3 albums. And we did jumps out to all the colleges, and that's where we met Speakeasy, which was the original Speakeasy, was Tony and Sean and Ryan and Marcus, and we all just hit it off. Same with like Bachman Ufio and Matahuchi, and we all kind of ended up at the same festivals, a bunch. Smaller festivals. I remember the first one we all played was the Black River Music Festival, and it was Mattahoochee and Station and Speakeasy and Bachman and Broken Grass. You remember those guys? And, yeah.
Dude, that you're naming some really tight bands right there.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun back then. We're all about the same age, and some of the guys that you meet on doing stuff like that stick with you. And Sean Eccles has been one of them that we've stayed in communication with and love to run into each other once in a while. I decided to stay low New Year's Eve, but I got to see him just recently at one of the St. Louis music festivals, and we got to hang out a little bit. He'd smoked his head with his guitar that day. I don't know which festival it was, the Intersection maybe or something like that. He threw his fender up, and it smoked him right in the forehead. And I go backstage, and I see his wife. And he's bleeding all over his face. Like, what? And he comes out. He's got this war wound on his forehead. He hasn't changed much. He's a go. I met a lot of guys. I've not been blessed to make all my dimes off of music. I've had a career in the electrical, world for 25 years. So Sean Eccles was one of those guys I thought, he's going to make all of his money off of music. It's very hard to do. Yeah.
Well, to say that is probably a truism. He does make his money off music, but I'll tell you, when I worked with him, he shows up, he sets the monitors, he goes through, checks that, he jumps on the iPad and goes through. They're a crew that like most bands, you think of sometimes once a band's on the road that they got people that do that for them. Not necessarily. However, they did just sign them with a major label. Yeah. So they're probably going to get a little more money. When I first heard that, I thought, what does that mean in this day and age? Well, it means there's money behind you. That's what it means.
It's nice to have hotel rooms on the road.
Right. No more sleeping on couches.
Well, that's a lot of how we met, was swapping houses in college towns. Yeah. And we'd be coming in town, they'd be going out of town, or we'd all end up playing together. I remember we played in the Rockwell down in Springfield and the Outland Ballroom, and vice versa. We catch them up. We're all really helping each other out with connections and getting each other gigs too. Yeah. We all went down through the Hangar and the Copper Dragon.
The Copper
up to
Dragon.
Fayetteville, the Georges. We were all really having a lot of fun, and I was, it's really difficult to make money at it, and when Sean got with Andy and Fred Thackett and these guys, and they started picking up these sponsors. I was just proud papa, proud friend. He's been really successful. It's great. Oh, yeah. Love to see his smiles.
You brought up Copper Dragon. I saw Merle Saunders play there.
Oh, dirty!
What a great show that was. But so you talked about Eccles hurting his head too. I don't know if that was the one. He injured himself last year, maybe the summer before, bad enough. But finished the show that Rolling Stones did an article on him. He actually made it in Rolling Stone magazine.
I believe it. He's pretty photogenic.
He's a very passionate man. We'll say that too. He's a great guy. Good times all the time with those, and to see him go from a band like Speakeasy, which was a very high energy band.
That's great. He was the lead singer.
He what did he sing the other night? I can't. He's so good. Yeah. Anyway, he sang lead on one of the songs on New Year's. But anyway, to see him find someone like Frasco is such a perfect fit for that guy. Yeah. Because they are one of the most high energy bands that are on tour at this time. But I knew you and him go back. I meant to mention you to him the other day, but when he's in St. Louis, I talk to him less than anywhere else I see him. Yeah. Because his crew comes. The last time he was in town backstage there at the pageant, I walked down a hallway, and there he is taking photos with his aunts and uncles, and he's like, "Hey, come here, get in this with me." And I'm like, your whole family doesn't want to, for the rest of the life, go, "Who's that guy?"
He's a good guy.
He's a hilarious dude. Mm-hmm. So there you go, man. So you were talking about which band were you in when you met him?
It's called The Station.
The Station, yeah.
The
Station. Before we get into the whole Jake's Leg playing the Wildey, let's dig deep into the psyche of Ryan.
Oh no,
this is more of a counseling meeting now.
I wanted to pass on to our listeners too, in case they missed it. We're talking to Ryan, the drummer from Jake's Leg, about a show coming up January 11th at the Wildey Theater. Tickets still available for that one, but they go quick there. Yeah. Now, one thing we talked about with Lewis Michael earlier today was that the Wildey's got its built-in audience.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's seats left over after that, but not a lot.
Yeah.
Most of the shows there get close to being sold out. They fill that place, so you need to act now if you want to go check out Jake's Leg.
Well, and especially for maybe the people who aren't just going to every show to see it. Like it's like season ticket holders at a theater or something of that sort. For the folks who are fans of Jake's Leg and fans of spinning in circles. You want to buy now to get that general admission ticket,
Yeah,
so you're not standing up in front of someone so much. But there you go. Going to be a good time there on the 11th.
The 11th, yeah, you nailed it on the head. That the whole general admission aspect is to kind of lower the expectations of, letting people kind of roam, down there, and not roam per se. It's all the seats are, first come first serve down there, so it's we're seeing how it goes. We love the venue, and we want to try to keep everybody as happy as possible coming out. So
you want the venue to be happy. You also want the fans to be happy. And in a situation like that, like I remember going to see Matt Tall in Stubblefield there, and my wife was a little bummed because there were people behind us sitting down, and she wants to dance, but she doesn't want to be rude. I mean, literally, we had some people want to start a fight with us at a Tom Petty concert because we were standing up dancing, and I'm like, I don't even understand anyone who goes. What are we doing here, people? If this isn't a celebration that I can dance at, anyway.
Well, we want everybody to have fun,
Exactly.
We want everybody to be comfortable and kind to each other.
But by giving people that freedom to roam, it's going to push those who want to dance more toward the floor and towards the closer seats.
Yep.
Where if somebody does want to sit down, they can probably find a comfortable place to sit down and still see the show because they're not trapped in this one seat that just happens to have me in front of them.
Yeah.
Dancing.
I think there's, probably at the last I heard there was around 80 tickets left or something like that.
Wow.
And
There you
so
go.
like probably it's about split. I think there's like 30 left on the floor and 40 up in the top or something like that.
There you go. So now whether it's a correct number or not, we've put a number on it. 30 seats left on the floor, people. The next 30 people can get those seats. What do you go? Wildey.com, I'm going to say. I'm just guessing.
Yeah. They have a ticket broker that, you click and buy.
Yeah. Or you could just ask for Al Canal. No, don't do that. Don't bother poor Al.
Well, it's our last show, like I said, for a couple months, and it's the first show of 49th year of this band. It's pretty well.
49. One
Yep.
more.
Yeah.
One more, and it's a half a century.
Well, it's also my 20th year in the band this year.
20 years.
I'd, never thunk it.
And you're the newest member, right?
Yeah,
20,
2005, yeah.
20 years, and you are the newest member. 49 years for Randy.
Yeah, and Dave.
And Dave. And
Joey's like 35, 36 years, and Bill's around 33 or 34.
I remember Joe being. I didn't catch on to him until Joe was with him.
Yeah.
So or at least I always remember him being the bass player. If I saw any shows with the first bass player, he was unmemorable. That's all. Just kidding, man. Anyway, yeah, man. So looking forward to the 11th, the big show. But now let's dive a little deeper into you, Ryan. But before Station, what can you remember the first band that you played in?
Yeah, absolutely. It's my high school homies, Terminal Bliss.
Terminal Bliss.
Yeah, Terminal Bliss was me and a guy named Pete Klein, Mark Brune, and Tim Vogt. Yeah. And we were writing some songs, and we got our first PA guy, I remember, and it was a 4-piece band. And we had like the grubby roadies, we called them. And we had like we played a lot of basement gigs, a lot of homecoming gigs. We were playing a lot of alternative music back then. Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains. I think we played some Ozzy probably. But then I loved heavy. I was really into heavy metal back in the day, and so we played a couple Slayer songs, "Make Me Happy," some Metallica.
This is something we have found out over the years. Most musicians that we find that are playing jam style music, a lot of bluegrass music, start off just as everybody in this room, I believe, did with punk rock and heavy music.
Oh, yeah.
3 chords and the truth. It's all we need.
Yeah.
Play them as loud as you can. And, I mean, in all honesty, bluegrass is still 3 chords and the truth as fast as you can play it. It's just a little more countrified.
You know, my brother started taking me to heavy metal shows. My first show was ever alive was Pantera at Club 367.
Right in my wheelhouse there.
It was Decade of Aggression or something like that tour. But it was unreal, and I still have Dimebag's pick from that night.
Nice.
And yeah, so Vinnie Paul, David Lombardo from Slayer, Igor Cavalera from Sepultura, those were my heroes beyond heroes when I was growing up, and I learned Live Dedicated Aggression was, that was a Slayer album. I learned, and then anything that I could pick up heavy metal wise, me and my brother went and seen, and we saw Sepultura, Rise Tour in '96. We saw a lot of great shows that I got some stubs for that. I look back, I'm like, gosh dang, we saw Pantera in a club with like 800 people. And
it was
it was
Sepultura show at Club 367.
We were at the Sepultura.
That was the
show.
largest crowd ever at Club 367.
Yes.
I want to say it was like 1,400 people.
It was Thanksgiving night, and I remember my mom saying, "You guys are really going to a concert tonight?" Me and my brother like, yes, Max and Igor Cavalera are in St. Louis for the first time ever, And I remember the first band that it was such a rowdy night. The first band didn't stand a chance. We wanted them off stage. They were, and they got them off stage as quick as possible to get. But
a
Max,
guy I know got his leg broke in that pit, and because of it, him and Max are still friends to this day.
My brother's friends with Max.
They met because Max felt bad for him because he heard about it, and they're still like friends to this day, man.
Yeah, one of my prized possessions is Max Caballero does custom drum heads in the tour bus. Nice. And he doesn't sell them, and there's like these cool pieces of art. And my brother was hanging out with them, and he told us the story about how my favorite intro ever was that tour, because they come out with like just hanging notes, loud, and they all were so tight, and they stopped, and Max goes, "Let's destroy this place." And I never seen anything like explosion of people in my life like that. And so on the drum head, he wrote, "Thanks, Ryan. Let's destroy this place." And it was like so cool. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm a huge heavy metal fan, but then I discovered jazz and blues, and when you throw the triplet into all that four beat stuff, like any drummer, I got interested. So.
Before we move on from the heavy metal, though, you in that rant, you pointed out 2 bands that drummer wise to me for different reasons. Lars from Metallica. The drums on And Justice for All were the first time I felt like I heard really fast, heavy drums with any decent production. Everything before that seemed muddy and muddled. They're letting the overtones of the mics, ring over them because they're trying to go so, do it so fast. And I felt like that drum sound, for me personally, wasn't topped until Vocal Display of Power, where for the first time I think like they're using triggers.
Yeah,
and the tightness.
And so is Lars, obviously.
You know what? And that's probably where the big
Then
separation.
he developed his own triggers with D-drum.
That was sort of the next level from what was happening. Yeah.
And I mean, we talk about big drums. The guy was playing 24-inch bass drums. His rack toms were a 14, a 16. Then he was like 12. I think he was a 12 and a 14 mounted, but they were both 12, 12s, 14, 14s mounted with a 16, 16, 18, 18 on your right with like an 8-inch deep Cannon snare drum.
Yeah. Well, when you hear it live and those massive cannons that 2 of them that he's using aren't. The overtones the vibrations aren't messing with each other. There's no muddiness to it. You're like, oh, yeah, he's got triggers on there, man.
Well, Pantera changed my world for sure because they created a music that I could play. Yeah. If you try to play Dave Lombardo from Slayer, he's doing double beats on his kick drums, and for an early drummer, that is pretty difficult stuff, to play War Ensemble or those songs. And then when I got into Igor Cavalera, it was I could play his stuff too. So I learned all their albums, and he was a great attack drummer, but he was playable drummer, and he had these clutch signature like fills to get things back together, and I picked up a lot on those, over the years, playing those clutch fills that get your band back into a chorus, get your band into a bridge, get your band back into the verse or whatever, back to the head.
Reset the one.
There's certain fills that drummers pick up on, and Igor Cavalera was one of the best at it. Dave Lombardo, same thing, and Vinnie Paul, of course, Cemetery Gates, his drum work on Cemetery Gates is one of my favorite things to listen to. It's just some of the best sounding drums.
Yeah, I think that was one of those bands that all of us that were into heavy metal, maybe not the Concrete Jungle, but once Cowboys hit, and I think the production on Vulgar was such a step
That's the
up.
tour I was on, Vulgar Display of Power tour.
Yeah, that was such a step up in production. Cowboys was an amazing album. But the second I put on Vulgar, it had a clarity that I had never heard that heavy of music come across on a recording with or live. To be honest,
it's considered one of the greatest heavy metal albums of all time.
Absolutely,
they changed everything by putting half beats in, in the right places.
You're talking about Club 367.
Yeah,
when Vulgar Display of Power came out. I think, Dennis, were you still at WLCA then?
Yes.
I have to actually kind of take credit for turning this area on to Pantera.
Absolutely.
Were you on Monday Night Mosh?
I was the Mosh.
He was the Mosh, yes.
Oh, my God.
Johnny Bash at the Monday Night Mosh.
Yeah.
So the story is I
know.
went over to Mississippi Nights to see Suicidal Tendencies.
I was at that show.
Exodus was opening up, and this band called Pantera, which I remembered from previous, but they weren't.
They were more.
I was like, this
band.
can't be the same Pantera that I heard.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it was
the pre-Phil years.
Right, the pretty boy era of Pantera, right?
Yep.
And so I went home with Cowboys from Hell and started using that for the intro to the Mosh.
Yep.
It started off with Cheech and Chong, and Chong's like, yeah, where you were doing this, I thought of something a little more rock and roll. It sounds like this here, and it went into Cowboys from Hell, and everybody remembers that.
Oh, yeah.
I used to get calls all the time from people going, hey, where can I get that version, right?
Nice.
The thing about that whole era, though, that I want to bring up is you were onto it when you mentioned, Injustice for All started getting some mainstream action with One. That entire genre of thrash metal from that became very popular, and Pantera was the final blow, man.
It was,
I mean, they came out and took all that original thrash, did their version of it with that old school kind of glam rock groove to it. You know what I mean? A little more dancey.
Yeah.
I know some Pantera fans might not think that, but it was. It had more of a groove to it.
No, you can tell that the brothers were Van Halen fans.
Yeah,
you can tell.
Kiss and Van Halen.
Absolutely, right. Man, and they mixed it up into a beautiful thing.
You're a product of your surroundings. They were '80s guys, and they ended up being the greatest '90s thrash metal band
Absolutely.
on the planet.
There's all the metalheads that weren't ready to give in to grunge yet. And it was thrash metal. It was big. I mean, that's when Symphony of Destruction come out, which was a huge Megadeth tune that, we started hearing this kind of music on radio. And I remember we covered Slayer quite a bit. And it was like maybe 10, 15 years after that, we're playing at Mike's Tin Pen doing Slayer, and people are like dancing to it, not slam dancing. It's like, so we could tell, and this is our era of people that,
Well, the fans age with the band sometimes. Well,
mandatory suicide. Let's dance. Right?
So when we were at WLCA was when Arlen, he might have graduated, but we were in there when Vulgar Display came out, and so the radio stations get advanced copies. So an advanced copy comes in, and I took it to my band, and we learned a couple songs, and we had a show coming up at 367, and we played some of the songs before it hit. But we didn't say this is Pantera, and for just a hot second, people thought we were really good until they realized those weren't our songs.
The other thing I remember about that time is like, seeing Pantera at Club 367, Vulgar Display,
Yeah.
right? And then like less than a year later at Riverport for the end of Vulgar Display.
Right.
Well,
That's how fast it blew up.
They in between there, they played the old American Theater in the winter between there. So they did Club 367, an American Theater show in the winter, and then the next summer they were with White Zombie, I think, out there at.
I've seen White Zombie for $9. The other thing I like to bring up about that Pantera era is I worked with the record labels. So they set it up so we could sell tickets from Pantera's Pizza for the Pantera
I
show
forgot about
coming
that.
up. And here's the amazing part. No one came down to get tickets. No one came down. And my show was very popular. I mean, people drove from St. Louis over here on Thursday nights to listen to the Mosh because nobody played that kind of music.
But
on the
nobody liked
radio.
Pantera's
Well,
Pizza. Must have been the
I
problem.
have to.
It must
I
have
have. To, I mean, I didn't know who you are, and now it's like I have to say, me and my best friend that was skating before I was in that band. It was just guitar player, drummer, right? My buddy got a guitar, and then I got some drums. And we play in his shed, and we listened to the Mosh religiously. We were those kids calling you.
Yeah.
We met up with the guys from Cottonmouth.
That's him.
That's
That's him. He's the singer, Cottonmouth.
They brought us tickets all the way over to Staunton for the show,
Yeah.
and we saw you guys at the show over in Bethalto, and you guys had the twins in the band.
Yep.
Oh,
And-
yeah, Eric and Aaron.
And now,
Campanella.
I mean, it really tests my memory. There was a song about a bell, tolling the bell. What's that song?
You're talking about
Charge it.
Freedom Reeks. And
Freedom Reek.
Yeah.
Yes. And the bell cracks.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
The bell is a symbol, and it has a crack.
That's my proof. We were hardcore mosh heads.
We get goosebumps.
Yes, no doubt.
Appreciate
And
that.
the twin that was the drummer, I thought he was fabulous.
Aaron.
I remember he playing that silver Tama kit, and I wanted one so bad. I had to.
So, Aaron was one of these amazing guys, but I'm going to tell you, he was so much more fun for me personally to watch live than to just listen to.
Yeah. Well, it was hard to get a good recording back then. You just mentioned that.
Yeah, and that might have been some of the issue. But when I would watch him live, I'm amazed by him. But now Butch, who came after him, I felt like had more groove. He had those same technical beats, but he had more groove to it. But yeah, Aaron was a technical monster, and having a twin as a bass player is almost
Right.
cheating. That's
I
almost
know.
cheating.
It's
Man.
like the cheating, right?
They were in a marching band together.
Well, we really enjoyed you
Yeah,
guys.
so they played like snares,
Yeah.
right? And Eric was the guitar player, but he learned how to play the snares from marching band, and they went on to college and played like a year in some marching corps or whatever it is that
You could
kids
tell.
go on to play. And so like both of them were playing rhythmically together.
Yeah.
Only one was on guitar, eventually bass, and then Aaron was the oddest setup guy. He had an odd setup and an odd approach. And
Yeah.
he was.
That's
very,
what made him unique. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
appreciate
There you go.
that. Appreciate that.
Well,
Yeah.
we were blessed with a ton of music in this area.
We were.
Back in the day. I mean, there was so many bands. I feel for the young musicians right now because it's very competitive, way more competitive. I got to play with my three best friends from my class, and then we started a band our
Right.
sophomore year and played through our senior year together, and then we all got back together, some of us, and played again in our 20s, and then it wasn't hard to find guys to play and actually score a gig.
Yeah.
You know.
Me and Pigpen are always bragging about this generation, actually, though, having actual clubs to play in and places in town like the Conservatory that will do original music. I mean, we'd have died for that back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
We'd always had to rent a hall, or most of the time you'd see us at a party because no one would let us play anywhere except Club 367.
I mean, do you remember that gig? It was over on like 111 in Bethalto, and it was like a drop ceiling joint, and we were moshing on this tile floor.
McConaughey?
We were moshing on the tile floor in front.
was it like all glass kind of?
Yes,
a front?
there was a whole. You guys were playing in the storefront.
So it became the El Mezcal. It's right next to Duggar Pools up there,
Yeah.
and it was McConaughey's or something
You're
like
close,
that.
yeah.
McConaughey's. I remember. I shouldn't bring her up because I think she passed away. But we played a show up there, and between my band and your band, a girl did a little dance and striptease sort of act.
Uh-oh.
And who was that? Scott Megawatt. It was his birthday. Remember that dude?
I do.
Yeah, man. God, I forgot about McConaughey's. That was a place that would let us get away with some stuff.
Yeah, so your band showed up at our gig after that and pulled the sink out of the wall.
Yeah,
So we were
That doesn't
never
sa-
allowed back.
That doesn't sound like me.
No. It was another guy, a drummer.
Actually, I think it was his cousin. Santos.
You know, I was really impressed we were able to get the gigs back there in the high school. You know, we played like the Gillespie Homecoming, Mount Olive Homecomings, you know, for their high schools.
What about the Crystal?
We played the Crystal Ballroom,
Crystal
yeah.
Ballroom? Because I think from Staunton at that time in that era, that'd be a pretty good
It
gig
was the
to
first
get.
like green room I ever had. I was like,
Right.
holy crap, we got a dressing room. You know, I'm dying for a dressing room all my life. And it's right there next to my mom's house.
Right down the road, you make it to the ballroom, and they had an upstairs and downstairs dressing room. What's going on
You know,
with that,
I was
man?
lucky enough to play the Coliseum. That was
Yeah.
like one of
Yeah,
my
it's the
very
little things.
first gigs, man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It was, we played all over the place over there. It was a bar called The Tug in Beneld, and we played Browns and Gillespie, the Anchor Inn up in Carlinville when we were first getting going. And it seemed like we were always able to pick up shows around there. And we had it was good timing. We were all 21, 22, and all of our friends were just all going to the pubs, and they would follow that little band around. That one was called Green Velvet Pants. I don't know if you
okay, nice.
Green Velvet Pants existed for about a couple years, yeah. I actually named the band one day at rehearsal coming from the 94 Dead shows, or 95 Dead shows, and Garcia looked rough. And I was down close to him, and he had green sweatpants on.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Okay.
He
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
look good at all. Yeah. And the dirty black shirt on and green sweatpants. And I told the guys, what? He had green velvet pants on. That's kind of what I was imagining instead of what I was seeing.
Right.
And they're like, that's actually should be our band name. and they respond. They respond off that, but
Dude, that so you know how like you'll meet these young kids with Grateful Dead shirts, and then some older person be like, "You never even saw the Dead," and I'm in a situation. It was an after party actually for Billy Strings not that long ago, and there was a young kid there, and I kind of gave him some. I said, "Man, you got a Dead shirt." He was in line in front of me. I said, "You got it." I ended up meeting him in Nashville, and we're still friends to this day. But I said, "You got a Dead shirt on." He was, "You old enough to actually see the Dead?" I don't think so. And some guy right next to him who was a little older said, "I saw the Dead." And I said, "Was it during the sweatpants years? Because that don't count." Like, I saw him pre-sweatpants years.
Yeah. You know, anybody's blessed to get to see that original lineup. Was
Absolutely, man.
I missed Brent Medlin and Jerry Garcia band. That's my two things that I was.
If you're
love
just
to see.
tuning in with us, we're talking to Ryan from Jake's Leg. They're playing January 11th at the Wildey Theater in Edwardsville, and I just want to catch up our listeners on that. It's not a metal show.
It's
We're
not a
talking
metal
about
show.
some heavy stuff
That was
tonight.
cool, though.
You know what though? Yeah, when you're talking, bringing up to the Dead, the first Grateful Dead show I went to, my brother was a huge Deadhead, and he told me I needed to go. He would always say it's going to change your life if you go to one Dead show, and I'd like, yeah, whatever. It's a country band. I'm in a band that plays Pantera and Slayer, these sort of things, and well, I went to one Dead show, and next I woke up in Philly at another Dead show, and the next thing, I guess I'm not in college anymore. I mean, yeah, it's funny how immediately I went from being a metalhead, how quick it had everything to do with the music and the crowd. Everybody's smiling and hugging each other instead of standing with their arms crossed, like with that, like, "You looking at me?" Kind of look. And I think I just got to where, but I'd never seen music put together quite that way. And I had to have more immediately. I think that's an easy, as much as heavy metal and the Dead seem opposite ends of the spectrum, so many metalheads turn into Deadheads. And I think it's really a very easy transformation, or it was for me. Did you go straight from heavy metal to Dead, or was there a few steps in between?
Well, I didn't even try to play on the Dead stuff until after Jerry passed away. So in high school, when we went to the Dead shows, we were just impressed by the kindness that we were welcomed into this crazy little world. And that was the rule these guys told us on our first show, was that you find somebody not having a good time and help them have a good time.
Nice.
And that was the way it was. I wish that, we still had that magic at a show like that. It's hard to find, but that kindness was overwhelming. But my thing was, I was living here in Alton, and I started getting this Green Velvet Pants together, and we were going to play some Dead. And I put on Without a Net, and I had my drums set up in my bedroom, and I just discovered that it wasn't about playing what they were playing. Like, I'd been mastering, Vinnie Paul and Igor, licks. I was playing it exactly like those guys, when I play along with the albums. And then with the Dead, I could not do that. It was so all over the place. And so I just ended up layering on top of it. And I just became a third drummer on top of what I was playing instead of playing what they're doing. And that was like my moment. I was like, wow, this is really open-ended music. It's really open for interpretation. That's my kind of thing, And just so got lucky to play with Jake's Leg, where they let me have my interpretation, And but that was my moment. So I still listen to heavy metal. Oh man, I still do. I still have my playlist has deep. It's deep. I have Brutal Truth on my playlist. So there you go. If you know who Brutal Truth is, then you know it. Yeah, there you go. So, but I also have Miles Davis. So I just like it to be good music. So I never really stopped at any of it. I just ended up playing this, kind of thing. I have double kick on my Grateful Dead drums, and I always get some weird looks from some soundmen. You got the double drums on there. I give my brother credit for this. He says, you should bring your double bass back. You were really good on it. And I said, I don't know if those hippies are going to really understand the double bass. And he goes, just figure out, it'll blow their minds is what it's going to do. So I use it in the solo, and play. You can really sound like a machine gun, back there. And it's heavy metal licks. So I kind of nicknamed it Heavy Tribal. So it's like half, loop beat type of tribal music, but with quadruplet fills and double bass. And so
look, the Grateful Dead always had two basses. Mickey had one, and Bill had one.
Sometimes it sounded like that
sometimes sometimes they would play off each other, not with each other, and but again, it was always open to their momentary interpretation.
Yeah.
When I got to hang out with the guys for a minute and was talking to them, Bobby said that absolutely Jerry told them they'd never get a gig better than their very first gig, which was Ken Kesey at the Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test. And he said, you don't get a gig like this. He hired him and said, here's the deal. You're going to get paid this much. Set up your gear. Only play it if you feel like playing. Don't play what you think someone else wants to hear, and don't play unless you want to play. You get paid no matter what.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's never a music gig as cool as this. But it gave them the freedom to do whatever you want, instead of, hey, you're here and entertain these kids, play something they can all dance to or whatever. It's that they were always the most fearless band I had ever seen, because they're not just playing out of a bag of tricks and rearranging the tricks. They're inventing new tricks right here in front of your eyes. I saw them one time, and the whole second set, they brought Bradford Marcellus out. It was jazz. The whole second set is nothing but jazz, I didn't see that coming. Nobody told me this was going to happen, and I saw him playing in a way I hadn't. Maybe I had seen glimpses into it.
It's like putting cinnamon in your coffee.
Oh, yeah. Well, what just happened, man?
Surprise.
Or peyote in your coffee. Either one. Whatever it is you like to spice it up with. So.
The last time you guys were on, you kind of touched on that, this was for Earth Tones, but you guys kind of get lumped into the Grateful Dead thing, but you do more than Grateful Dead, right?
Yeah, we play a lot. I mean, we're heavy in the Dylan, and we're heavy into
John Prine. I've seen you play Prine.
Little Feat, we play a lot of Garcia band arrangements, But my buddy says Grateful Dead were the greatest cover band.
Exactly.
If you look at a Grateful Dead show, you're going to see 3-4 songs a night that was actually written by them.
And most of them were written by Robert Hunter. No, I mean,
well, and that's and for me and Jake Slag, it's kind of like being in Jake Slag. I really never thought about it as being in a Grateful Dead tribute band because I just we don't feel like that,
right?
And we don't play like that. We thank God we got the most forgiving audience in the planet. I think they like us like this, and so if we tried to emulate something now, I don't think they would believe us.
Well, but that's what makes it so authentic, right there. If you go see, I've gone to see several Grateful Dead cover bands, Pink Floyd cover bands, and they're even if they're playing a version off a live album, that's the version off the live album.
Yeah.
And sure, it sounds a little different than the studio version, but they're basically playing that, and they might jam it out an extra few bars here or there. Well, you know what? Your approach to it, so like to say they're a Grateful Dead band. If you play a Bob Dylan tune, it still has that Dead approach to it as we're playing this song. We all know the tune.
Yeah. The
changes, we can feel them coming. A nod and a wink, a certain lick to help fill us back in that, hey, remind us where we're going, But you're not. Even when I saw you play John Prine, you didn't play it like the album. And that was the Dead's approach is, hey, we know the tune, man. Let's just get up and play the tune. And where it goes and where it lands.
He was one of my favorite arrangements that we did. And how the arrangement came about? I have no idea. Because we had this funky bridge work, dun, 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 dun. It's kind of breaks the whole thing up. And it just kind of became its own thing. And that's what's cool about these guys. It was like unspoken stuff happens to us more than normal, I think. And that we just played that song a couple weeks ago at the Rock House, and it's only a few different times a year I look out that we got them. You can see all the eyeballs, and that's how I judge it. And they're kind of quiet listening, and it was that one that did it for me. I don't know how many times it gets to happen a year, but we can on some of those ballads that I don't know where those arrangements come from. I really do. I think they just come from inside.
Yeah. Well, like you say, you start it not knowing 100% where this arrangement's going to go, but you say that the magic happens. I had my brother and some older Deadheads that I knew would say, "Oh, it's the guys are a little smoother now." A lot of the early Dead shows, you would sit around for an hour or two waiting for those handful of golden moments, and the rest of it was the guys also noodling around trying to find those golden moments. And I'm sure after 30 years of digging, they got better. After 40 years of digging, you know what I mean? And because I know a lot of the shows I went to, that there was those moments of explosion where they knew exactly how to, wait till the crowd cheers, then give them the refrain. No.
Well, it goes into, I think, the guys you're playing with too, the listening exercise that is playing, with Jake Slag it's extreme. We are very into each other the whole time. And we're laughing internally and frowning internally, But at any time, I think we're so into each other that's keeping it real for us. We just really like playing with each other, and really get a kick out of listening to each other mess up all the time.
There's an interview with Victor Wooten where he's talking about improvising, and he says, "Look, man, a lot of people don't want to improv because they're afraid." And I tell those people, I give you the permission to play your worst. Let's have a competition and see who can play the worst. Let's get over that hurdle. We're all going to make mistakes, but if you want to reach a new step on the ladder, you got to take that step, And I think that's that fearlessness I was talking about. Being in bands that do that, as you say, you can't just be sort of listening to it and really listening to your own instrument, and that's just keeping you in time. Your ears have to be open to listen. It's a conversation that's going on, and when somebody makes a comment, you might have something to say back, or you might just reiterate that. You might say, "I want to emphasize that, so I'm gonna play that same thing, but an octave higher." Because I feel the same way.
I think it's I can only speak from my experience with the leg, and I hope that other musicians get it, of the love we have for each other, when the support system that is going on up there musically is extreme, because we want each other to succeed. And just bottom line, we want each other to have fun. And whatever we can facilitate in getting people to different places in the song as the night progresses, I think that's the goal. But, I think you get it from just really enjoying with the people you play with. That's like the best, if you got that. Musicians aren't the easiest people. So finding 5 of them that you really gel with is harder than it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. Because everybody's got different ideas of what's supposed to happen, what the different expectations or whatever. But I've told several people that I've played with through the years, the key isn't hurrying up and getting the best guys in town in the room all the time. The key is finding the right group of people with that want to. That had the same sort of idea of where we're going on this ship. There's no definite end and no definite destination other than a good time, decorating time together with music.
I questioned, I was a very young guy when they hired me, and I went through my mountains and valleys, and I said, why me? Why'd you guys pick me, And they're like, when's the last time you sat on a couch on a weekend watching TV? I say, I don't think I've ever done that. Because you're a musician. You've been playing all your life, right? Or there's work. They kind of put it to me as there's kind of a working musician that is always going to rehearse, that's always going to show up, that's always going to play. And then there's guys that are great musicians too that just don't work, and just they're happy with playing at home or do some studio work,
Right.
I'm one of those worker guys, I was happy that they brought that up to me, because I was like,
I'm glad you explained it to me.
I really don't watch TV.
I think Randy said he had like 300 songs he threw at you and said, we're playing in a few days. No rehearsal, just be ready.
Get it down, yeah.
Well, we were talking about, I had lunch with the guys today, actually. Yeah. We were talking about that. I had played about 10% of their catalog, with the other band I was in. But when you listen to music you love, like if I really had to pull out War Ensemble right now, I could probably do it.
Nice.
Because I was just I'm a educator of listening, and I love memorizing music through repetition. So if I need to learn something, I have a way that I do it. And with the Dead, me and my friends, we just listened to it so much and air drummed it so much. I just ended up having to do it, where what I ended up correcting was a lot of uneducated things that I was doing, like straightening out my shuffle beats, and studying a little bit more jazz techniques too. Because I figured, man, there's some drummers out there watching me, seeing me cheat my shuffles. I better get this stuff in line, and I did those little mechanical things to help out the playing, but their songs were there, it was just, and figuring out how they were playing them and their arrangements came with a couple of years,
Nice.
So they gave me the time to do it. I'm appreciative of it. So.
Well, we're appreciative of them for letting you play and for them sticking around for 49 years, man. That's an amazing amount of time for a band of any caliber, even a super successful band. And not that many of them stick around for that many years, and a lot of them that are having their 50-year, we're celebrating. Yeah, you didn't play together for 30 of those years. Yeah, you had some success for 20 years, and then you all kind of went your own way. Jake Slegg has actually been playing without much of hiatus. I guess there's been maybe a 2020 hiatus, I mean, but even
COVID knocks us out.
but even then, you played like out at Jefferson Barracks and a few big safe events. Yeah, and I myself attended drive-in events and the little cove events where you got to rent your own area, all that, because hey, I got to get out. I have to get out and be a part of it.
People need it.
Well, hopefully we've been encouraged our listeners to get out and be a part of it on January 11th at the Wildey Theater with Jake Slegg, and you guys are also playing the Bearcat Getaway in August, right down in Lesterville.
That's my conjuring. That is going to be my 20th anniversary party.
Nice.
I'm very excited about
your 20th anniversary.
Yeah, right. Almost. just like within a week.
How many years at the Bearcat? That feels
Gosh,
like that's been going on for a long time.
I started playing percussion with them before I was in the band and down there in like 2002, and it was already going on. I don't know how long, but we haven't been there in years. And that's where they offered me the job.
Nice.
And so I was like, I would like to go back down to Bearcat and let's do it where it all started. And for me, it was super awesome that the guys were into it. So we're just doing one night down there. It's the end of our Days Between run. We're going to do Jerry's birthday this year. We're at the Rock House. I'm very excited about that one. What other ones do we have? Of course, we'll be back at Del Mar Hall or the Pageant next year. But Rock House, that'll be our first show back is going to be March 1st at the Rock House on Mardi Gras Saturday.
Nice.
Should be a wicked good time downtown. And then we're going to probably pick up, Rock House is going to be a big focus of our years. We really just love the Maple Room. That stage is aging well. I think it's one of the greatest snare drum rooms in town. And once we've got all the mixes dialed in so well now, everybody's really enjoying it. The owners and staff down there are magical. And we're going to bounce around to, Oyster Bar, I'm sure, Venice Cafe, and a few other places we're looking at right now. I really want to put us over here at the Conservatory. And there's possible, and we'll leak it out too much, we might be at Bakery Brewery.
Ooh,
we're
nice.
working on something with them right now.
You guys did something down there a few years. It's been years ago, but I feel like I saw you guys play down there when they first opened.
When they first opened.
Yeah, I
couldn't
remember
believe that was 10 years ago.
Man,
right?
I can't be.
It was.
I knew it'd have been a few. I said a few years ago, dude. Yeah. Come on, don't be adding that many up. You brought up Del Mar Hall. I think that might be one of my favorite rooms in the St. Louis area. I don't think I've heard that room ever sound bad. It's the perfect size where it's no bad seats in the house. I'm
any
a fan
band
of that place.
You get to go back to some of these rooms regularly. Just gets that comfortability going.
Yeah.
That's what the Rock House has been like a special place for us because we were so comfortable in there and we've placed and we can hear everything so well. We really took an extra steps at Del Mar by bringing in all of our own monitoring and everything this year to take that, stepping into a strange place vibe out there.
Yeah.
We're really traveling right now, self-contained, and Dale and Dave and Patrick from our crew is just. We're rolling around with our saved monitor mixes now, and it's just, it's ridiculous.
That's one of the great things about an in-ear type system.
Yeah.
Even though there's still a couple live monitors on stage, for the most part of in-ear, if you carry your little magic box with you, as soon as you plug in, you're not asking somebody, oh, man, can you roll the EQ? Can you kill the compression? You're not searching for what's wrong. Why doesn't this sound like what I'm used to? And being comfortable allows you to not concentrate on what's wrong with this. Why is this different? And you just get to relax and play. So
consistent like you guys are in this awesome show.
I appreciate that.
Thank you guys for having me so much.
Hey, speaking of awesome radio shows, now that we're at the end of this radio show, there's an awesome radio show called Jake's Leg Radio that's on right now on
it is.
theroots.fm. That's the second playing of the show. It's usually noon to 2 on Thursdays, and then 6 to 8 on Thursday night. And I know a lot of people miss that 6 o'clock hour because they're tuned into us. But,
that's what I told you.
And then Pigpen's on every evening from 6 to 9 on my mix. So, I mean, they got a lot of choices.
Today at lunch, I'm going head to head with you guys tonight. No, we appreciate the plug.
Yeah, definitely.
That's it's a cool station.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Hey, thanks so much, Ryan. Always a good time to sit and chat with you. I'm going to get to know you even better. Every time I'm going to deep dive a little deeper till I find that darkness I'm looking for. No, I think I found it tonight in the middle.
It's the most convenient interview ever. It's like 4 blocks from my house.
Nice. Hey,
you got to get that Grand Theater going. That'd be a great place.
Oh, my gosh.
It'll come.
We're hoping.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, hey, thank you. Thanks to our sponsors, Halpin Music Company and Matt Van Voors of Macias Insurance. Everybody get out to the Wildey Theater on the 11th. Jake's Leg. I understand those 30 floor seats are down to 25 already. So I'm getting updates constantly.
Because of our hard work right here. That's right.
So seriously, if you want to get on that GA floor to dance for Jake's Leg on the 11th, you better buy quick. Thanks again for coming down. Everybody get out and support local music and art.